Hello, how you doing? Okay, today's homeschooling tip is read. That's it. I mean, it's all about reading. You can't read enough, basically. It almost doesn't matter what you read, especially with the kids. They just gotta read. If it's comics, that's fine. Of course, great literature. Fantastic poetry, informational books, but just keep reading. And what we've been doing, there's a few different programs that we really like. Okay, first of all, let me actually explain what kind of homeschoolers we are, because people sometimes ask that. So as a family, we are what's called secular, so non-religious, secular eclectic, meaning, we use curriculum from everywhere. Whatever we like, whatever we think is good stuff, we use. We don't care if it's part of a curriculum or not. So we're secular, eclectic, academic, because, we're not unschoolers. We definitely believe in doing schoolwork, but stuff that appeals to us, that appeals to the kids. So academic, homeschoolers, that's what we are. Secular, eclectic, academic homeschoolers. And we've been basing pretty much all of our homeschooling around books, literature. And there's a few online resources for that I just love, and that really helped, because when we first started, our two boys didn't like to read, and I knew it was really important for them to read. So lucky enough, we came across a curriculum that's called Moving Beyond the Page. I will put the links to these websites underneath. So Moving Beyond the Page was really, really good for us. So basically what they would do, they would take a book, you start reading this bit of literature, this book, and then after every chapter there'd be different activities, and every day it's something different. So one day it's you make a drawing that's based on something in the book, or you do some extra research on the region where it's set, or you cook, like what I was saying before, you cook a dish from that region, or you act out, you make a play, or it can be all kinds of things, but every day it's something different. So every day you read your chapter, you answer some questions, and then you do an activity, and it can be grammar, right? So Moving Beyond the Page was really, really good for us, and it helped the boys. Instead of just giving them a book and they're like, I gotta get through this whole thing, it was like, no, read one chapter and then we're going to do something fun. And that variety really helped my boys until it just became second nature. So we have read so many books, and Moving Beyond the Page helped us to get into that in the first place. Another organization group, homeschooling resources place, is Build Your Library. That's another one. They don't do as many exercises with the books. They do more something that's called a Charlotte Mason approach, where so you answer some questions on what you've read, and then what you do is every day there's a little bit out of the book, a certain little section that you copy, you write it out, because what they believe is that by copying proper grammar and the proper vocabulary, you write all this stuff out, and you then discuss why it was written that way, why is there a comma there, why is there a semicolon? So you discuss these things, and the child then practices it for several days, the same little bit out of the book, the little bit that they've copied, and then on the final day you read it out and they write it without any help, right? And this is basically to teach grammar in a more natural way. Instead of saying, here are some books to read, and now I'm going to give you a whole bunch of worksheets that are only grammar or only vocabulary, just a list. Why would you take it apart? Language isn't like that. We learn grammar from just listening to others. Just in, everyday talk, we learn grammar. So it can be the same with written grammar. There's a lot that you can learn just from reading good literature, just getting the right information all the time, the right examples. After a while, you just instinctively know that, yeah, of course it needs to be like that, even if sometimes you can't analyze it. So I definitely believe, I'm a big believer in learning through doing, and seeing the right example. And then at a later date, you can still do some worksheets of grammar and just explain, some extra bits, but just don't pull it all apart. Keep it together. That's my advice. If your child doesn't like reading, they really don't like reading, you can do audiobooks as well. So you can still work within these programs and use audiobooks instead. I know that Audible has got a lot of free books right now that you can use. Yay, Audible. And also David Walliams is doing a free children's audiobook, I think, every day. So there's all these different resources that you can use right now. And with Moving Beyond the Page, you can just buy one unit and see if you like it. And the other cool thing with Moving Beyond the Page and with Build Your Library, these two sites, is that they don't just take literature, but then your history ties into that book, your geography, your science, like everything is linked. So instead of separating everything, they put it all together and everything evolves around a great piece of children's literature. So I'm a huge, huge fan of those. So yeah, read some more, and I'll put the links to all these little bits of information right here. Thanks.